Hello, Nibber. This is Novels and Bits podcast, and I am your host, Chizoba Katie. How are we doing? This is the final part for the story we've been doing. We've been doing Spark of the Everflame by Penn. Please let it be noted that the books I do on this podcast are published. Most of them, many of them, bestsellers or well-written novels, right? I do many mainstream. Mainstream is a relative in the sense that, what might be mainstream for me is not mainstream to you. So regardless, there are so many great books. So I pick the ones that that I find myself reading at the moment, and I want to share the story, and I bring them on here on the podcast. This is what we do on this podcast. That's why it's Novels and Bits. It's meant to be summative. I'm not going to all the details, but I try to give the main things as much as possible. And then when I'm doing the book promotions and I'm sharing the tidbits, some things I even sharing the tidbits while I'm promoting might not even be in the actual episode, in that detail, but is what it is. So I just really wanted to clarify that, just in case you're like, what exactly do we do on this show again? Yeah, so that's what we do on the show. Now, before we continue today's episode, before we launch it, I really just want to shout out to 5 people. Yes, I don't think they're up to 5 today, but I want to start doing that, like shouting out to 5 people every episode. So today, I'm shouting out to Texie. Texie, thank you so much for your amazing feedback on each episode, being addicted to Novels and Bits podcasts, just being my girl. Like, when I didn't even think anyone was listening to me, Texie would be like, oh, I like the story you've been doing. And I'm like, yo, you've been listening. I didn't know anyone was listening. It was insane. Thank you so much, Texie, for being there for me since day one. Thank you, Corey, on TikTok, for taking your precious time to not just listen, but he gave such detailed, kind feedback that will definitely make this episode catchier. Thank you, Anne Oreolua on Instagram, for receiving just one DM from me that said, please check this thing out too. And you don't even wait for any more prompting. You checked out the podcast by going to my link in bio. You subscribed. You made it a personal favorite. Before I could even say Pim, I said, Abba, I don't see anyone with, please let me encounter more people with your energy, please. Oh my God, there's been so many amazing new listeners that I've reached out to personally. I'm still reaching out to you, and thank you for just being here, listening to me. I appreciate you. I am over the moon. I'm so grateful. This is a dream, really, that not just that I get to have this chance to tell stories, but I get to have anyone at all listen to me tell stories. It's a dream for me. So thank you so much. Now let's dive in. We stopped at the point where Diem was at home and talking with her father and Tella and asking her dad, how do you know when you met the one? Like, how did you know mommy was the one for you? And then her dad went into the detail, finished telling them the story. Then the moment he's done telling the story, explosions go off, house shakes, they all dive under the table. Next thing is like, those explosions happened near the palace. DM is panicking because she's been on edge that the guardians are going to attack the palace through the Appian way that she told them about. They would attack the little children there. She's been on edge. Right now, she's feeling so guilty. So she dashes out of the house before her dad can stop her. She runs to the healer center. She gets the supplies that she can. Silverworm, marigold, guage. And the bag is heavy because she knows people are wounded. So she brought many supplies. Now, on the path heading towards Lumnos City, because she's coming from Moto City, heading towards Lumnos City, where the palace and the descended are based, she sees 2 men. They are wearing hoodies and they are carrying covered carts with them. They are walking away. They're not using a horse. So one of those men holds her back. That holds Diem back. And this person is Henry. Now, the other men don't trust her because they're like 5 other men there. They're all guardians. And one of them, Vance, Vance is the person they've been calling father in the cell. That is in the Lumnos cell, the cell of the guardians now, guardians of the Everflame, the people that are opposing the rule of the descended. And the thing is, since the moment Diem met this Vance person, he's been oddly familiar and he's been tingling at her senses. But right now, she finally remembers him. She's like, yo, I've seen this guy whispering with my mother on the outside of the healer center. That's where I've seen him before. Now, regardless, They just want Diem to turn back. Hey, I know you're a healer, but no, you cannot go there. It's us who bombed it. We do not want any mortal in sight so that we don't draw suspicions ourselves. The Guardians think they are so secretive about their activities in Lumnos. But what they do not know is that Prince Luther, he's been very aware of the activities. That he was not acting on it was that they've not been directly hurting people or hurting the standard or anything before now. That's why he's never really countered what the Guardians have been doing. They've only been trying to make life better for the mortals. At least that's what they were doing before the main person, the leader of Lumnos Cell, went away. The woman has been gone for so long. So now Vance is taking more violent actions. And we're going to see all of those things as we go forward. They are telling her don't go there so that they don't see you and suspect us. I mean, you guys already suspect her, but the point is the point. They do not want Diem to head to that place, okay? Henry holds her in place roughly. This is the person that just proposed to her the last episode. He holds her roughly and he's now pleading, please don't let me do this. Like if it comes to picking your girl or the Guardians, it's so obvious who Henry's gonna pick. He's gonna pick the Guardians. His girl is secondary. Yes, he cares for her based on their childhood friends and all, but he's not the type of, let me bend the world and save you. Henry does not care. It's the Guardians first, okay? You do not want to marry that type of person who cannot put you as priority like that. Even if, yes, maybe the novel case is too exaggerated, but still, you understand. Please, I don't want to do too many commentary today. Let us finish the story. Now, as they're still talking, like Henry is still talking to Diem. Don't let me do this. 6 men surround Diem. Diem is saying that, these people are overpowering me. So she now plays along that, no, I was not thinking now. It's just Eline's things that kicked in. Why would I go there? I'm not going there. I'll go back with you people. But it's notable that these men, the way they surround her, they're blocking off the path that she's going to take to go to Lumno City. That means she has no choice but to turn around and go back to Mortal City with them. But because Diem is a woman on a mission, without warning, they don't expect it. She takes off running. 2 of them block her way directly. She throws her weight forward and expects to be knocked back because these men are bigger than her. They are burly. But instead, she knocks through both of them and she's still running. She even hears them grunting behind her. How is that even possible? They reach for her bag of supplies. One person catches up, reaches for her bag of supplies because it's heavy now. So that extra weight, she uses a saw. She cuts off the bag. Now she's running to a place where people need healing without any supplies at all. It's madness. Eventually, she arrives at this hill and she now notices that, thank God, it was not the palace that was bombed. That wasn't a target. It was the Bennett Armory. That place she went for her test and she got very valuable information. That's where they bombed. The Bennett Armory. Now, the Descended guards are there. They're not letting anyone pass through. Diem spots Prince Luther. She feels his magic. He's sweating because it's fire now. He also feels her too. We'll understand this. The same way she's feeling his magic. That's how. But she does not know that yet. All she knows is somehow he senses she's there because his eye crashes into hers and she now starts waving at him to let her in, to help. Then when he's trying to kind of ignore her like, yo, what are you doing here? This is fire. You should not be here. She now calls out, Luther, you arrogant dumbass. So people are looking at her like, do you know who you are talking to? You're like a mouse awakening the lion. So he's annoyed though. But he now uses magic to let her through the barrier, to get her through. And then that magic dissolves when she comes to stand beside him. So when he's like, no, so where are your supplies? She's like, I'm not with them. I got attacked on the road. Are you hurt? She's like, no, I'm not hurt. He now asks her, so who attacked you? Descended or Mortal? She's like, I couldn't really tell. It's so obvious she's lying. Because he also has an idea who the people where you get, and she's trying to protect them. She's trying to protect, the Guardians and Mortals. He kind of has a general idea. Now, many Descended guards are wounded. Diem not having any supplies, nothing else to do. She kneels beside them. She offers comfort. They will be taken to Descended healers at Fothos. So now there is a particular dead woman. She was one of the guards. Her body is charred beyond recognition. She lost all limbs but one to the fire. Luther is talking to 2 people. We'll find out later that they're his cousins, Tyin and Alexis or something. We'll meet them later eventually in the book after this, in the next episode. Now, there are more people inside, which is why, they can't at this point use shadow magic to put out the fire because it's going to crash down the building, something like that. And the thing is, Descended people are tall, way taller than mortal. So they're all too large to go through an opening inside there to actually try and bring out whoever might be the survivors inside there. Now, Diem isn't as huge as they. She's small enough to go through the opening. So she's like, yeah, I want to go. She volunteers. And Luther refuses. She glares at him. She now tells him, see, I'm not fragile. And if you dare call me fragile again, because he just did, she's like, I will slice your precious royal balls off and shove them down your throats. But Luther and his two cousins, everybody goes silent. They're like, who is this babe? The corner of Luther's lips even twitches, just slightly. Diem now goads him and now says, hey, so what would you tell their families? That you had a chance to save them, but you didn't take it? So with that goading, he now lets her go in. So woman there with him, that's Luther's cousin, she briefs Diem. And the thing I like about this particular lady is she doesn't see Diem as mortal or descendant. She just sees her as person that is willing to help. Person that thinks she's capable. So yes, let her be capable. You understand? This lady doesn't have that prejudice in her head. She's just acting. So it's like, if one descended person is of this mindset, that means there are more descended who are likely like her. Do you understand? We would explore all of this because, up until this moment, Diem had that notion, all descended are evil, all descended look down on mortals, That's what she's been taught, that's what she knows, because she's never actually had anything to do with these people. And the few that she's been having interactions with in this recent days, none of them are really nice. All of them are giving her vibes. Diem enters inside the burning building. Inside is like frying oil. She crawls, she finds 4 guards. One of them is murdered. One of them, it's obvious that there is a photoshan still that murdered the person. Another guard beheaded. Those guardians she met on the road somehow snuck into here and beheaded and murdered. Another of those guards killed by explosion. These are innocent descended people, guards on duty. So it's questionable, okay. So yes, the guardians were successful. They set back the Bennett armory by months. They gathered enough weapons to arm half the cells, across Marion. I mean, it's a huge victory. And Diem was very instrumental. But you're not seeing her rejoicing. That victory tastes like gravel in her mouth. All she's just thinking about is, for the fury of revenge and justice, this is not worth it. And to think that the Guardians are just getting started. It reminds her of something her dad said before now, that war is death and misery and sacrifice. War is making choices that will haunt you for the rest of your days. And she knows this is going to haunt her forever. At a point, the boiling oil, everything, she cannot move forward. She's discouraged. Is that all hope is lost moment for her? She just lies there and said, it's not like there's anything to live for again. That if I survive this, I'll be facing 6 angry guardians because I ran away from them. I turned back on my healer's vow. That's the whole point why this thing happened. So she's like, everybody's going to be fine. My family will be fine. Just better I just die. So she just throws herself on the floor there and says, anything that wants to happen to me, let it happen to me. But then that voice inside her now says, fight. She now feels a tingling in her extremities. So she gets up. It's hotter inside where she is, but somehow the heat is no longer bothering her. But the place is about to come down. So she runs through there. She calls out, finds 2 men. One is unconscious. The other is wounded severely. And there is utter hopelessness in his eyes. There is a beam lying on top of that one. That one that is wounded severely, but it's not unconscious. I don't know where she digs into strength from. Because she's like, normally I'm not supposed to be able to lift this thing up. Because it's like 6 times her weight. But she lifts that beam up. Easily. It shocks her. She now uses the unconscious guy as a stretcher because she can't carry 2 of them. They're heavy for her. She uses the unconscious guy as a stretcher for the wounded one and now starts dragging them out. So now close to the exit, she hears Luther's panicked voice. Luther is panicking. And Luther now sends in vines, magic vines now through his magic for her to wrap it around those men so that he can pull them out. So the moment she touches his magic, something inside her sinks. And somehow, she that was losing strength, she receives fresh energy just by touching his magic. The vines that she's supposed to connect around those men. She wraps it around the men and they are pulled to safety. She just sits there. Luther now walks in. The moment he walks in, a vision flashes across her eyes. She's seen that vision before. Now, she sees herself on a battleground. All around her is an explosion. People are dead all around her. They drop dead. She's in an onyx armor. She's holding a sword. But this time, she's not alone in this vision. Luther is there. And then they make a mirror gesture of hand on chest. As she puts her hand on her chest, he makes the same gesture opposite her. When the vision flashes out and she's kind of back in the burning building, she's facing Luther in real time, he is making the hand gesture, like his hand on his chest. They now call each other's name. Next thing, a beam folds, and next thing, blackout for Diem. She's fading in and out of consciousness. She's crowded against what feels like a wall, but that wall has a beating heart. And one of the voices is now backing at everybody to get out of his way. And the voice is now saying that she's going to survive this. And something inside her, more than a memory, knows it's true. I'm going to survive this. The tone of this person that is talking to her is a tone of someone that is sort of lost. The grip on her is desperate, yet it's tender. And the voice is now urging her to stay with him. The voice is urging, Diem, the voice of this man who we know is Luther, is telling Diem, stay with me, like, don't, die. But then sleep is more promising, so she passes out. So he brings her to Eleanor, his cousin. We're going to see more of Eleanor in the next episode. And he now begs her to help him help Diem, okay? Eleanor is now asking Luther teeny tiny bits of this conversation that Diem catches as she blinks in and out of consciousness. Eleanor is asking Luther, why did she carry out a rescue mission again? Luther is like, because I was a fool. Please bring her something to wear. She normally prefers pants. That is, Diem is someone that I forgot to mention this, but where most of the ladies are always kind of in gowns or something, she prefers trousers, okay? And at this point in her growing up years, right now, as she is at 20 years old, she no longer prefers it. Her preferring it when she preferred it in her teenage years was because she just wanted to feel anything. She was quite reckless in her teenage years because the playing with powder was dulling her senses. So it made her reckless, like to feel anything. She put herself in positions that were really dangerous. Okay, so when she asked her parents that she wanted to wear pants, that not gowns, and they refused, she was like, why can't I tell her he's wearing trousers? So she put all her gowns inside the heads. That's fire. So they had no choice but to allow her to wear pants. But she's at an age where she's kind of like, oh, I think I want to wear gowns. But she's now too shy to say that to anybody. So that whole, he's telling his cousin she prefers pants is because that's what he has observed her wearing. Okay, he doesn't know this history I just explained to you. So Eleanor asked Luther to stay with Diem until she gets back. Luther says something striking. He says, Eleanor herself couldn't pull me from her side. Eleanor now asks him, who's this woman to you again? Before Luther can quite answer, Diem passes out completely, so she doesn't get the answer of who she is, that Luther is this caring and trying to save her at all cost. Now, there's a brief moment of consciousness. She's lying in a cocoon of warmth. It's not like when she was still roasting in fire. This is pleasant warmth. Someone's fingers and hers are interlocked, and there's a thread of energy. This person is talking to her. The voice is kind. The voice inside of her is humming. She now goes unconscious again. Now, when she finally awakes, it takes a while for Diem to come back from that feeling of free falling and being back in the fire. She now realizes that, oh, I'm in a room. This place is elegant, it's homey, it's expensive, it's comfortable. To her left is an arched window with parted curtains, the beautiful sun overlooking a fog-covered garden. Now, the light is a halo around the man sleeping on a chair, drawn close to the bed. His hand is on the bed, and his fingers are brushing hers with his palm open, as though he's reaching for her like last night. So the man's eyes opens. It's not annoyance, it's not indifference, like it's normally used to. This is Prince Luther. He asks how she is, but instead of answering that question, she asks him, how are the soldiers doing? Like, the ones she saved. So he tells her that, oh yeah, some got sent to fortress, and then the other ones who are doing better are healing at home. Obviously, except that one female soldier that was shot to pieces. I now tells her, oh, it's all because of you, that those people are recovering and stuff. But in her head, she hears it as, it's because of me they got hurt in the first place. He's thankful while she's guilty. Now, next thing, there's an inhuman cry. He's sorry. The Griven, the eagle, dragon, lion creature, she's been agitated all morning. And the way Luther speaks of sorry, he speaks of her like as though she's a family pet. He now says that he's tried many times to engage Sorry in mock battles, with the soldiers. But because Sorry reads intentions, she would rather eat than take a nap when there is no real battle. Instead of like, who do you want to draw into mock battles? Do you think I have energy for that? Diem now says, yeah, well, Sorry and I have that in common. As far, why do you want to stress us unnecessary? Luther laughs when she says that. Right now, his composure is carefree, is unpretentious, is nothing like the Prince Luther she knows. His shirt is even halfway unbuttoned, revealing more of the scar that slashed his body into. Diem learns from Luther that Sore is this way because she senses Uther's end is close. Uther is the current king. That's Prince Luther's uncle. So when he says this, he gets grim. He's serious. That carefree composure vanishes. Now, Soray and Uther were never close, in as much as Soray was his protector, companion, pet, but she was never close with Uther. Soray is bound to the crown. Luther feels she's uneasy about serving someone she doesn't share the same values as. DM kind of mutters, yeah, I'm similar in that respect too. DM now brings up the whole, yeah, well, I heard that someone in my family is supposed to serve the crown for life, so my brother can go to school. So when he hears this, his expression darkens as per something is there. There's this awkward silence until she tries to get out of bed and sees herself in unfamiliar clothes. He tells her that her clothes burned. Now that's something. She was in this fire. A beam fell on her. Her clothes burned. All these things happened the previous evening. This is like, let's say, morning-ish, late morning-ish, or ancient to late evening time now. And she's fine. DM doesn't have any injury on her at all. And she is, in quote, a mortal person who entered a burning building. Okay, something is not adding up. So Luther is blushing though, as he's telling her that her clothes burned. She also observes, DM observes personally that she was baited, her hair was washed, her nails were filed. Luther was quick to clarify though that he was not the one that baited her and changed the clothes, that it was his cousin. So that kind of made her calm down. Luther informs DM that he actually plans to send for a healer if her injuries were so bad, but apparently they weren't. She doesn't even look like anything happened to her at all, that she was in a fire just the previous night. So DM checks herself and says, oh, that nothing. She's fine. DM now teases Luther and says something that's you. I'm immortal. I need healer ASAP. Unlike you, that you can heal by yourself. Luther looks so sad when she says this, as per, girl, how are you so blind? He now tries to say something. He now says, you really believe you're not? Before he can even dare to complete that statement, DM glances away. He informs her that the palace courier, aka Henry's father, the man that proposed to her, informed her family she's staying at the palace for the night. Oh my god. At this moment, DM has very little desire to leave the palace, to go back to Mortal City and face the palaver waiting for her there. But then Sorry's urgent cry comes again. Luther now invites DM, hey, please could you see Uther before he can call for Mora? DM hesitates. She can't explain to him that she's been banned. That, Mora banned her from coming to the palace, attending to the king and all. She goes ahead. Her weapon's belt is still intact, and he doesn't forbid her from wearing it to see the king. The act windows are open today, and Soray's cry is louder. Soray is on a perch outside. Her head peeks in, and DM is subconsciously drawn to Soray. DM finds herself reaching for her, but then a panic Luther gets between them and wraps his arms around DM and now tells DM, look, if Soray attacks you, only the king can call her off. He now tells her, you're really not afraid of anything, are you? But DM is afraid. She's afraid of her body's response to him. She notes that she's holding on to him tightly as well. It's not just him holding on to her. She takes Soray's golden-eyed, accusing look as per pull away from him. Feels the creature is accusing her. And then she nearly trips over Luther when he bends to greet the king. She has to now ask him, please, what's the purpose of this whole, respecting the king when he's in this state? It's not like he can't even acknowledge it. So Luther now explains that the purpose for this is to show that Uther, the king, the uncle, and the mates are different people. DM now places a hand on Uther's cheek. It's clammy. He's weakly breathing. His skin is paper thin. That is leathery. Somebody now that has aged and they are dying. That kind of texture feel. There's nothing anyone can do to save him right now. Luther sits on the other side of his uncle's chest and now starts telling DM a bit about he and his uncle's history. Luther was named in Uther's honor. Basically, the first two letters of the name were interchanged, Luther, okay? His uncle took Luther under his wings at a young age and has been the person to show Luther the greatest kindness. This is a man who had nothing to gain from the act, but it They didn't always agree. Now, there's talk of how Luther is the next king. That's Diem brings it up. Hey, I've been hearing rumors that you're going to be the next king. Luther tells Diem, hey, our magic is not measured that way. Diem now said, come on, spare me the false modesty. The crown's expected to pass to you. She imagines that kingship is going to suit Luther. He already has the aura. He's terrifying, but he's also kind. He's never punished her. He treats healers well. He's offered to help the struggling mortals, but in her pettiness, she turned it down. So there is a talk of the kind of king he wants to be. Luther is urging her to talk. Diem now tells Luther that I think Luther made bad laws. The one that harms children, that keeps the realm in quotes powerful. That if we need to hurt innocence to be powerful, then we don't deserve to be. She now pulls away from him. So he asks her, why haven't you been coming with Mora? She now reminds him of what happened the last time, the her running through the palace, Luther compliments Diem's healing abilities, how he was angry that the guards hurt her, and how she was angry at him for hurting the guards that hurt her, how she saved them, and also how she saved the guards from the previous night. And now tells her that, I think you have a knack for seeing a person for who they are, not what they are. He's looking at her with that same pride Henry looked at her with, after she passed the test for the Guardians and joined the Guardians, So it makes her feel this choking guilt. These are two men who look at her the same way, but for two completely different reasons. Luther is looking at her this way based on he sees her kind heart, but Henry was based on what she did, an action she had to perform to deserve that look. But with Luther, it's not the same thing. Regardless, she is feeling choking guilt. He now asks her, truly, why did you run the last time? And the softness ceases from his expression. He knows about the Guardians. That's now he tells her. They're not so covert activities. He knows they were responsible for the fire. He now asks, did you act on their behalf the other day? So today she now starts demanding, you know where my mother is. So Luther has been waiting for this, for her to confront him about her mother. So she believes he did something to her mother because she overheard something about his secret. He now stalks towards her and she reaches for her knives. He holds his palms up like, yo, I'm not trying to hurt you. Nothing like that happened between me and your mother. She now asks him, then what happened? But at this point, guards rush in with news. So he now swears and now says, Miss Bellato waits in the room. He did not say Diem. He said Miss Bellato waits in the room. And that stinks because they've been having some, moments of bonding that, and even at the point he was calling her Diem, and next thing he just switches to Miss Bellato, because of this confrontation happening. But Diem is even scared that, why did you leave me with the king alone? She doesn't trust herself. She's upset. I remembers her mom telling her stories of older Marion before the kindred came. Her mom's voice is melodious and mysterious. The formidable Orally was just her mother. Her mom is someone that is feared and often held in awe by people. But to Diem is just her mother. Someone who was a lantern in dark times. So Diem goes to sit beside the king, holds his hand, wrist to wrist, matching his pulse to hers. Apparently, sometimes that helps patients. So his eyelids are fluttering, his breathing is rapid. So she now recites the rite of endings from the old religion. So as her final word comes out, there is a cackle of energy in the room. The king wakes up, grips Diem so tight. The crown of Lumnos appears around his head. It's a tawny vine, but with stars encircled around it, like sparkling. And it's not like sitting on the head. It's like above it, floating above the head. It comes out. He now tells Diem, they told me you would come. I am not afraid. Devourer of crowns, ravager of realms, herald of vengeance. And then the king's voice turns old, female, and now says, daughter of the forgotten, pass this to my ear. Final burning of a dying star. That's just what's going on here. And then King Uther slumps back on the bed and he passes out. His grip on her hand loosens. So Diem knocks back a chair. She falls. The potential steel in her boots skitters out. She grips it, and that's the state the guards and Luther find her. Holding a blade, the type that can pierce the sanded skin, hovering over the king, as though she just attacked him. First thing Luther does is check the king's body for injuries. Looks at Diem with suspicion, and oh boy, it hurts. It hurts that he suspects her. She is now shouting she didn't do it. Because in her head, she's like, I thought we were becoming friends. So she hides that hurt. She's angry. She's now telling him, I didn't want to be here. You begged me. It's not like I brought myself here. So why that sort of thing. Because it's better to be angry than to show that you are upset at being suspected. Now, the king wasn't hurt. Seeing that, Luther now says, Diem. He tries to call her name and she cuts him off and said, is Miss Belato to you? Arrest me or let me go. I want nothing to do with this place or anyone in it ever again. He now tells her, you're free to go. So Diem rushes out. She jogs, even as she hears Luther behind her. So one of those guards now from before gets in her way with a sneer. And then Prince Luther's voice from behind Diem, touch her and I'll pull out your effing arms. He's not playing. So she runs through the isolated pebbled path. She keeps ignoring Luther as he calls her until he grips her hand and pulls her to himself. By instinct, she grips onto him for balance and wields her blade to his neck with the other. And now tells him, it's Miss Belato to you. Now he tells her, we both have trouble following others. So now they're observing each other. She now threatens to kill him. His eyes light up in challenge and he draws closer, drawing blood that spills to her finger. She's holding a knife to his throat. And she's actually slicing him open. And his blood is dropping down to her fingers. He now tells her, I've been living on borrowed time for longer than you can imagine. If you're the way my fate finally catches up to me, I can't fathom a more beautiful end. And there is pain beneath these words. He now asks her, let me have one favor before I go. Let me die with a taste of you on my lips. And just like that, it's a full-blown makeout section. He's like, yo, okay, what's happening? We just went from, all of these moments. But there's been a whole lot of touching between them, between that last night and now. Seeing how this could build up to this, you can see how that built up, okay? Now, Diem is lost in this kiss. She's moaning, she's arcing against him. She drops the knife. Her hands are all over him. She racks her head for any of her father's lessons. So why should she pull back? The only voice she can hear in her head at this point is that her father's words when she asked him, how would you know? If the person is the one. And her father said, the truth is, I just knew. She's like, yo, that's very stupid. What do you mean I just knew? We can't be Luther. That is the guy. Of course not, okay? So she pushes him away with efforts and pants. I'm not one of those macho women who's just willing to spread her legs open for a rich descendant. He's angry too that her opinion of him is so low. Right now, she's always assumed that this guy is a cold person. But this moment between them is showing he is more human than she thought. He's not cold, he's an inferno. And right now, they're mirrors of each other. Now, she hid behind snarky comments and he hid behind brooding. Neither of them chose their lives. He's telling her that she's a worst kind of liar, lying only to herself. He now traps her in with his arms against the wall. He now tells her, lie to me that you don't feel my magic. She feels his magic. Then he now whispers to her that he feels her magic too. That's how he knows she's not mortal. So he now tells her, you're no more mortal than I am. And for Diem, this is breaking down everything she's ever known her entire life. It's not an easy pill to swallow, considering she's hated these people. It's not like, oh, she's admired them, I wanted to be them. No. So it's like, how can you tell me I'm this hateful beings, okay? She denies it. She's panicking. So with thick disappointment, Luther backs away. Then he now tells her that the deal with her mother, he's not going to take it up with Diem or her brother. They can live their lives. He now offers Diem position of palace healer, but she blots out that she's going to quit from being a healer. For her, it's more than the guilt. Her life is taking a new direction. So she tells him that they probably won't ever see again. She's almost out of sight when Luther brings up the vision of the battlefield and now asks her, you saw it too. What if our story is only beginning? She dismisses it. Because in her head, she's like, we can only meet as enemies. But then she puts out an olive branch as per, that palace wall that has a gaping hole in it? Please fix it. So the way he notes, he understands what she's saying as per the guardians know about it. So he's going to be on it. So she runs off. The first place Diem goes to is to visit with Mora. When Diem tells Mora, hey, I'm resigning, I'm leaving this healer position, Mora is like, okay. So both of them talk for a while. They reminisce until it's evening. And then Diem goes to see Henry. She doesn't want to knock. She's nervous. She's practicing lines of what she's going to tell him. But then he shows up behind her. Right now, she's partly in a guard's uniform and partly in Luther's tunic. So Henry thinks, yo, are you on the descended side now, seeing that you're wearing their clothes? So Diem now, she regrets joining the Guardians because of their violent ways. Henry even tells her that the Guardians have marked her ex in terms of she should watch her back. And honestly, this puts Diem in direct danger because the Guardians are capable of hurting her for running off, jeopardizing their mission, and they might see her as a traitor that would show them to the world. Henry has been begging on her behalf, but there is no guarantee that nothing is not going to happen to her. Henry has to point out to her naivety. You were protected from this violence most of your life because of your dad's army history, and your mom kept you away from the injustice that fueled this land. So yes, what if the Guardians poisoned the little girl? Many mortal children die every day. That, do you know what the king of Igneos did? The king of Igneos flushed out mortals, letting them roast in the sun without killing them quickly because he didn't want the secrets of his kingdom reaching the queen of Umbers. Like he could have let those mortals on his realm escape to Umbers, a neighboring realm, but he didn't want to. Do you understand? Just let them roast in the sun. If that's not cruel. So many harsh things has been done to mortals throughout the realm. Even worse is that Henry now busts Diem's brain. That, did you know that your father, Andrea Bellato, he's been called back to the army in a position where he's going to be killing mortals because they are calling him back based on the violence of the Guardians that has been erupting through the lands, that he should come and tame them, okay? So he now tells her that no change ever made in human history has been without violence. And let me tell you something else I don't know. Diem. So Henry is now telling her that, see, the Sophos you are thinking your brother is going to be sent to, that is his ticket out of Mortal City. Let me tell you what they do there. Yes, the mortals are accepted there, and they study, their life is good until they become the experiment. They study until they become the ones that are studied on. All of Diem's dream shatters. Everything she's held there is shattered. Like Tella's dream is gone, because how would Tella go there right now to run research until he becomes the subject of the research? Diem didn't know that things were this bad, and she was just pitying the sanded people. So she now imagines running off with Henry to start a new life away from all this madness. Henry now urges her that obviously that he can't do that. That confirm that I didn't lie. Confirm it from your father. So Diem is walking home with trepidation right now. This is home that's always been a place of ease and acceptance, but it doesn't feel so right now. Diem knows now that she has to fight against the descended, but she doesn't know how, because she doesn't want to stoop to the Guardians' level, that their violence way. Now, her dad is waiting for her, and he uses his commander voice to ask her to sit. Apparently, Luther sent a letter and revealed that Diem has been working as a palace healer. She's been around the ascended. Luther's tone in sending this letter is coming from his ascended world. This is honor. He's trying to, make Diem look impressive in her father's eyes. But the man is just scared for his daughter. Like, what do you mean you ran into fire? You ran into a building that is about to collapse. Did I ask you to do that? Do you understand? He's coming from a place of fear for his daughter, for her safety, okay? So in as much as Luther was praising her, saying he owes her, and so all these things is news to her father. Because he's not telling her, I've been mediating peace between the descended and mortals for decades, but never once got past the sitting room. But Diem, you were allowed to stay at the palace as an overnight guest. So Diem is now trying to explain that, it's because she saved Lily. That is how Tella's secret comes out. They've mentioned Lily before now. When Diem was teasing Tella in front of their dad, that Tella likes this girl called Lily. And the daddy did not know that it's a descended princess that they were talking about. Their dad now starts scolding Tella that how can you like a descended princess? So that voice inside Diem is now telling her to fight. So Diem is now telling her father that Tella is not doing anything wrong, that he's just friends with Lily. Dad does not want the friendship. Diem is now telling Dad, that is not your call to make. Besides, when did you plan to tell me that you've been recalled as a soldier? He now asks her how she knows. That he's now telling her, and he's done this thing for a week. He's now telling her that he planned to tell them, but he was interrupted the other day, the explosions. So the recalling was actually an order. It's not like he had a choice in the matter. Tella, the most cool-headed and optimistic, starts crying that he needs his parents. At this point, her and her father are going at it hot. They're going at it hot. She's not telling her father, you're going to kill our own people because the descendant told you to. He now tells her, I am trying to keep the peace. If this goes on much longer, more of the realms may ban mortals from their borders. Thousands will die, and the restrictions we live under will get worse. If stopping a handful of rebels means preventing the destruction of our people entirely, then I'll happily do it. Or more, the way her father's words land, it sounds so similar to Henry. Each side is convinced they're fighting for good. And she loves them, and it's hard. Do you understand? So her daddy wants Diem to remain, to take care of Tella, work as a healer. But then she tells her father about that. I quit my work as a healer. Dad now asks her to get reinstated. She's like, no, I don't want to. It's my life. Her father now says, then you have to marry Henry so that his family can provide for you and Tella at least while I'm gone. She now says no. She's like, she wants to get a job in Paradise Row instead, maybe as a courtesan or something. He tells her no. She now tells him, you can't tell me what to do. You're not my father. Do you understand? And this is the first time she's ever kind of thrown that at his face, because this man has been her dad her entire life. He now even answers he's the closest she'll ever have. She now confronts him that you know where my mom has ever been, that you have not been looking. You've not even grieved for her. You've been speaking with certainty that she's going to return. That why am I the last person who used to know anything around here? So it's that same anger she felt when she wanted to tear Henry apart at the end. But that time she had more control and asked Henry to leave. Right now, nah. Right now, she just wants to slice her father open with her words. Andrea now demands that Diem leaves his house. She now tells him gladly. She's boiling so hot. Her steps are silver in the dark. She feels this pain and like a headache, a very intense headache. And the voice is now asking to be set free, asking her, set me free, daughter of the forgotten. She kneels there in the marsh. And Tella is close by and watching. So warmth is gathering at the top of her head. Everything is too much, like she's gonna die. So she surrenders, lifts her hands to the sky, and great light shoots out from her hands. Boom! Everything subsides. The voice, the headache, everything just down. Tella now tells her, you've been selected. You're the new queen of Limnos. Say what now? Like, I listened to the deep dive of this chapter and it was so interesting. The many things that were, picked out from here. Her father right here is not someone that's going to force her to do anything normally. Just that the situations are dire. And if you look at his own reasoning around the rebels, do you understand? The Guardians are only a tiny percentage of the mortals, but the Descended don't care. They'll punish all the mortals for the action of a few. Do you understand? And the Guardians think it's only by pushing violence that they'll flush out all the Descended. So it's kind of a stalemate at this point. At this point, it's only 7 realms that accommodate mortals. And in those 7 realms, it's not like they live very well in all of them. So if you decide you want to push at the Descended, things might just get worse. So there's just a whole lot of politics, a lot of things at play really, more than the eye can meet, you get. Now let's go to the epilogue. It's been 6 months, 2 weeks and 4 days. This is Orally Bellato. This is where she's been. So yeah, she's been alive. She's been in a forest of sorts, and she was here before 20 years ago when she had Diem. Right now, she goes down a set of stairs. She is scared. Something used to be there. A creature or something. She sees old blood on the floor. But she's like, nothing should be there. I killed it so that me and Diem can be safe. Right now, Orally has been waiting for the king to die. So she climbs the stairs and sees a point of 10 stars. It's surrounded by 9 fires. Now, there's an obelisk with a fire burning, but soon that obelisk errs to smoke. Then light shoots from a distance. That's the time that Diem's hand shoots out that light. Orally saw it from this place where she's at. It responds in Sapphire where she is, like a fire booms down that place she is, crashes on the stone there. So through the sign, she knows that the king is dead. That means in 30 days, she can go home. So why 30 days? Why can't she just head home immediately? We're going to see all that. So we're just going to have to enter the second book. Thank you so much for sticking with me today. Today's episode, I really resisted deep diving. And if today's episode is long, I hope it's for a good cause, because I try to get more emotional and more immersive. And I hope I tried, So see you in the next episode. Thank you so much. Don't forget to rate the podcast wherever you listen, review, and share to at least just one person you think enjoys this kind of stories. Please don't forget to subscribe, most importantly. See you in the next episode, neighbor. Bye.